All right, so we're here in Portland for the Portland E-Prix for Formula E. We're here with Robert Wickens, who will be testing a Formula E Gen 3 beta car later this afternoon on track. Robert, this is obviously really exciting to be back in an open-wheel car, especially a car that has, I would say, broken a lot of ground since the inception of this series back in 2014, 2015. It's got to be pretty exciting to be able to test this car, not only to, help Formula E out as well, but also to just get an opportunity. You mentioned a chance, and this is your chance. I mean, how excited are you for this opportunity and the venture?
I'm ecstatic. I mean, it's something, Formula E has been a category that I've kept a close eye on as a fan of motorsport, but also, frankly, I have a lot of friends and former competitors in this paddock that, you always want to see, how your friends are getting on. So whether if it's reading the article or trying to catch the highlights on YouTube if you can't watch the race, I'm kind of always keeping tabs, and it's been a series that for me, since my accident, I always knew it could be a good home for me. It kind of ticked every box of what I want. It's an elite competitive championship, racing against some of the best drivers in the world and the best manufacturers in the world, and it's exciting racing. The competition's great, and finally, from a technology standpoint, they've been breaking barriers on the car itself. How to do the brake-by-wire systems and everything. They've kind of been on the front end of that from the off. So for me, in knowing how to increment hand controls into a race car, the Formula E car would always be the least amount of adaptation to take it away from its original state of a Formula E race car. Because I don't have to add brake-by-wire systems. They already exist in the car. And frankly, as a driver, not having a 6-speed gearbox gives my hands more time to focus on throttle and brake.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's my goal from the beginning of this injury was to return to an elite level of motorsport, and Formula E ticks them all. So it's always been on my radar.
What's the biggest thing you're most excited to kind of learn about the car? I know the car has changed since the last time you were about to jump into the car back in, I believe it was the Gen 2 era. So it's definitely, the car has definitely evolved, and it's about to evolve for next year. Yep. So what is kind of the big thing that you're looking at? It's like, oh man, I'm really excited. I know you mentioned the hand braking and the wire braking system. I know that's kind of a big thing for you, and it's going to help you out a lot. But is there kind of other things about the car that you're excited to be able to see and test on track?
Yeah, the big thing for me, it's actually, I don't know what to anticipate for like what the drivetrain feels like.
Yeah.
I understand what it'll sound like, likely, right? But for me, it's like, is it going to have the same vibrations, right? Is it going to be more or less like kind of like what's the feeling I'm going to get through my back when I turn off the pit speed limiter and head down to turn 1? So, I think there's a lot of unknowns. Frankly, it's going to be, it's just going to be exciting. And I'm so grateful for 30 minutes. I wish I had more. Like any driver, right? We're all greedy. We all want as much track time as we can get. And I think it's going to be, the competitor in me is, I don't want to waste any time. I want to treat, the first lap like I would a free practice. And then we'll see where we end up.
It's got to be nice too, because I know Jeff was saying in the press conference that hopefully a lot of team principals and teams will definitely be taking notice, and I think there will be definitely a lot of teams that are going to be keeping a keen eye on you and how you're going to perform in the car and such. But it's got to be nice too, especially a lot of the teams have ties with IndyCar, like McLaren, Andretti, obviously with Michael. So that's got to be nice to be able to not only get a chance to showcase what you have on track in this car, but also to do it in front of people that you have respect for and you've gotten a chance to race against or race for. So I imagine that's definitely got to be nice, especially when you're trying to figure out maybe that next opportunity here in the series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it turned out as just a, let's get you in the car and let you get a taste.
Exactly.
And I love that it's happening, that frankly people are interested. The fact that there's eyes on it, whether if it's just someone wants to see something cool or if there's actual serious interest, I don't know, but I'll take what I can get. And frankly, just the fact that a lot of my former, competitors and teammates, they're all going to try and come down and check it out firsthand. It's just cool. It's just awesome to feel the support. And frankly, it's what makes you love the sport of motorsport. We're all so passionate and we help each other when we can. We're fierce competitors, but off the track, we're human, and I think a lot of them are excited to see me like I'm excited to see them, because it's been a long time since I was racing in Europe, and this category is a primarily European-based driver market. So it's been interesting so far, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to treat it as seriously as I always intended, regardless if anyone was watching or not.
Absolutely.
And that's just to try to do a good, sound job, and frankly, do a lap that I'm satisfied with at the end. Hopefully, I don't finish my time and wish I pushed harder, or wish I left something on the table. So I'm gonna approach it how I would approach anything.
It's got to be pretty crazy with this journey, right? When you had your accident to get to where you are now, it's definitely, I imagine it's got to be fulfilling to be able to get this opportunity and the way it's come about, and to be able to, again, as you kind of mentioned, break barriers. I mean, you've a perfect example of what kind of how you've kind of broken that barrier in racing. I mean, it's definitely got to be fulfilling to be able to. It's definitely been probably a crazy path, but it's definitely been one that you've been able to achieve so much in your career.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think for me, this is just the next step on the journey. Racing in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series has been an amazing experience, but I've always seen it as a stepping stone to the next adventure, which for me is getting to that elite level of professional motorsport, whether if it's endurance racing, and I understand there's pro-am categories in endurance racing, but it's always it's pro teams against other pro teams, and doing what you can. So for me, my next step from the Michelin Pilot Challenge Series is frankly that elite level of motorsport, whether if that's a Formula E, whether if it's IMSA WeatherTech, WEC. I have ambitions of trying to do the Indianapolis 500 one day, because I think for myself and my journey, that would be the ultimate closure on closing that chapter of my life, is competing in one of the biggest races in the world. So. And the thing is, again, I wouldn't want to do it to be a parade. I'd want to do it to compete, and I am confident I could compete. So, yeah, we'll see. There's obviously a lot of dreams, a lot of ideas, but we're here today, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to, like I said, just have a chance to show that I can physically drive a Formula E car, that I can physically drive a open wheel car, and then hopefully some opportunities will come from that.
Yeah, you talked about that Indy 500 opportunity. Do you think that being able to get that chance in an open wheel car, such as in the Formula E car, do you think that may, give? I know IndyCar is changing, and there's a lot of new things coming to the series with them. But do you think that the how you do in this performance, maybe IndyCar can take a few things from it, and maybe that will get you back in as well, maybe to doing an Indy 500 run?
Probably not. No, is the harsh reality. I mean, I think. I don't know. I think IndyCar is in an interesting place currently. It's a very competitive championship, and I really enjoyed my time on the engineering stand side of IndyCar. But I think right now my future is probably elsewhere. If I can prove that I can win at elite categories, maybe that will open opportunities.
Absolutely.
But I don't think like today, doing what we're doing here will bridge an opportunity to do the Indy 500 and in 2025. I think that's just being realistic. I'd love it if that was the case. Yeah. But I think I don't want to get too far out of myself. But right now my focus is here and trying to utilize the opportunity I have.
Absolutely. When Brian Herta gave you this opportunity for IMSA back in 2022 and got the car up to specifications for you, I know we talked about this at Daytona when I got to talk to you for Media Day. How important was those contributions to making the car satisfied for you? How important do you think that those contributions are for what the future of racing has, and especially now with this Formula E opportunity? What he was able to do, I feel like, really opened the door to allow you to race, obviously, and I think will open the door as well for maybe other drivers who have dealt with injuries or have had, sustaining injuries that may have affected their driving capabilities. I think it really now allows drivers to get that chance. I think Brian Herta really kind of changed the game when he allowed you to get behind the wheel and made it to your spec.
Well, he did. I mean, Brian Herta and his business partner Sean Jones were the first people that believed in me.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to not look at this as a distraction, but as an opportunity, as an opportunity to do like what's right as a human. Do something that like a good feel-good thing, not for personal profit, not for business. Just to team owners that are racers at heart that wanted to give a racer an opportunity that he couldn't have.
Yeah.
And that was me getting back into a race car. And with the help of Hyundai, it all just came together. And, you know, it was kind of just a perfect storm. And when I was going through rehab and trying to figure out how I was going to race again, I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know if I could jump straight back into an IndyCar and not miss a beat and just start the next season like nothing happened, or if you're going to have to come back up through the junior ranks, if you're going to go a different avenue, right? Like, it's kind of, I didn't really know what it looked like. I just knew I needed to start somewhere. And I was taking any opportunity that I could. And frankly, Brian Herta and Hyundai were the first ones that actually believed in it and gave me the opportunity, and I think it's been successful for everyone involved. So I'm hoping that that's the template to show that, hey, it's actually not a distraction. It can be quite positive from an ROI standpoint, from, you know, everyone's winning. I'm winning, they're winning, we're winning races.
Absolutely.
You know, we're making news, we're changing the game. And at some point, you know, if you kind of follow the same cookie cutter approach as every one of your competitors, like, how are you supposed to stand out? You know, we have the results to stand out, but then we're also doing things behind the scenes on a personal and a human level to be, you know, step above everyone else. So it's been a fun ride so far. Hopefully we can win a championship again before this year's done, but it's not going to be easy.
And I imagine, too, the feedback from what you've done. I know IMSA cars are obviously different than what Formula E has, but, you know, there are things that are similar. There are things that you're going to experience in the car that are similar. I can imagine the stuff that you've done in IMSA and some of the stuff that you've experienced. I mean, I imagine there's some things that could help in terms of developing the Formula E car, and also just in terms of feedback, especially with your, you know, your specifications and the way the car has to be adjusted as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I know what works for me now.
Yeah.
You know, something that I didn't know 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that the big thing for me is now, like, when, you know, hopefully things take the next step and there might be an opportunity to do a rookie test, I know where I want my throttle. I know what I want to feel for a brake. And it's just trying to replicate that, and a lot of that's because of what I've been doing in TCR with Brian Herta Autosports.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think from there, you know, every car is going to be different, just because of the braking nature, but that's no different. Like, obviously,
Absolutely.
a TCR car is going to have a way different brake profile and brake sensitivity to a Formula E car or an IndyCar, or, you know, a GT3 car, right?
Yeah.
So, but understanding the geography of, like, what works, I think it's already, we're several steps ahead. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
I know it's hard to kind of predict the future and what's next. I think for you guys as drivers, it's always kind of take one day at a time and look at that way. But you know, I think one thing that is great about Formula E is there is still opportunity to do other stuff outside of the series. And I know you love IMSA and how much success you've had in the series. Do you feel like Formula E does give you still that opportunity to still be able to race sports cars and still have that as another avenue as well, you know, kind of do everything that you've been, you know, kind of doing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think given the time, the schedule of Formula E and when the races take place, it kind of leans towards the opportunities for drivers to do multiple things. And I think cross promotion is a great thing. You know, I think it's so cool that Formula E drivers can race in a FIA World Championship and then race in another FIA World Championship in WEC and go off and do Le Mans 24-hour. And, you know, from what I've seen of the schedule next year, you can do the 24 hours of Daytona, and you can do, I'm pretty sure you can even do the Indy 500 next year. So I think it's just awesome, you know, and I think there's so much talent in this Formula E paddock that they excel. You see it, you know. How many Formula E drivers were challenging for either class or overall wins in Le Mans a couple weeks ago?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just so cool to see, and it doesn't matter. Like, I know several IndyCar or Indy Formula E team drivers tested IndyCar at various tracks, and they always do a great job because they're good drivers.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter, you know, what the car is. You want to drive each car to the best it can be, whether it's Formula E or anything else. So,
absolutely.
I think the schedule's cool. I think if I ever could become a Formula E driver, it would be my top priority, and then I would try to sprinkle in IMSA stuff on top. So, But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just again grateful for this opportunity, and hopefully more opportunities can follow.
Well, Robert, congratulations again. Hopefully we will see you a part of this exciting grid that we have here on Formula E. Obviously, congrats on all the success
Thank
at
you.
IMSA. Hopefully we'll be able to get that win here upcoming in Michelin Pilot Challenge. But thanks again, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.